3 years ago was the last time we got together for Yahrzeit Seuda, and that was in my yeshiva, and I think it was also Motzei Shabbos, which is it's very convenient, Motzei Shabbos. Okay, and then 2 years ago, for some reason, we just decided, no, we're going to have a breakfast in yeshiva, we'll go to Yahrzeit, and that's it, and we won't get together. And I felt a terrible loss with that, because I think it's a little crazy when we all get together and we have to identify people for cousins, right? So I think the first cousins know each other, right? Meaning, yes, first cousins know each other. The second cousins is like very schwach, so pretty good, but missing a few. So I think this is Liba Basleya, Liba Basrov Tzvi, Liba Brown's 20th Yahrzeit. And you could say, okay, so 20 years, let's go on. Let's just, we'll go to the Harmanuchos, but otherwise it's 20 years. And I feel so quite the opposite. Mainly, so it's been a tough year. We started with a hard year. And there are people we lost and we miss. And Dorothy's not here. And so it's extremely important, especially to my mother's grandchildren and great-grandchildren. It's especially important that we come together, that we know each other by face, by name, and that we look back, because we are her nachas, and we are her, and we have her Masorah. And so it's not a speech, but it's 2 stories. And I think it's extremely important. And a lot of these stories, 20 years makes no difference, because if anything, I have epiphanies to things that my mother told me over and over again. And when she told them to me, it was like, here it comes again, which some of you may feel when your mother speaks to you. But then, when you don't have the pleasure of the person, then things that they say take on new meaning and become the wisdom becomes so sharp, and you couldn't possibly have appreciated it then, which is why, parents, you have to be very repetitive to your children, because it's only if you say it over and over and over again that in 20, 30 years from now, they're going to go, oh, now I understand what she was talking about. So I had to say the story that we always tell you, that my mother always told us, that Harry always says. When they came to the concentration camps, Tante Feige and Bobby Levy were together, 2 sisters beyond any comprehension of what sisters are, really. Dorothy and I always had to model ourselves with these sisters who were, they weren't just best friends, they weren't like Siamese twins, there was a love that they had that superseded everything. And they saw their father only once at the chain link fence. They were already shaved, and they were in the prison uniforms, and they saw him there, and they never saw him without a beard. He was also shaved and no beard. And they both, when they saw each other, they just, they couldn't believe what they looked like. And he told them, this is very important. He approached the chain link fence, and he said 3 things to them. He said, first of all, eat everything, because he was worried that they would worry about kashrus, but it was pikuach nefesh, and whatever little they had to eat. He said, if they offer you any kind of a job, volunteer to work, because somehow he had heard that was the only way being in labor divisions was the way to survive. And then he said, and please, kinderlach, hatzachlieb. You have to love each other. And this really, I was thinking about it today, this is really a tzavah that you all have from your great-grandfather, right? My grandfather, your great-grandfather, and great-great-grandfather. And it's that nothing is more important than brothers and sisters and family love each other. And I was thinking, I have friends who have machloket and who have things with their siblings. And it was always my mind-boggling to me. This was literally a tzava that was given for the generations, and I must say very proudly, Dorothy had the power of attorney on mommy and daddy's whole Yerusha, and I had the healthcare proxy, but okay. And it really, there was nothing, everything that was divided, that was split, that was done, that was worked out. The main thing was shalom, because nothing else mattered, just shalom. There should be shalom between us always, because that's irreparable. You lose that, you lose everything. That's our essence, and nothing is more important, because nothing is more precious than family, and there are friends can forget you, there is family, and that is the most important thing. So that is one story. The second story really came to me. My school asked me to say Dvar Torah for Parshas Beshalach. And Beshalach is, I love Miriam Torah. So Beshalach is Shiras Miriam. Yes, I know it's Kriyas Hayam, but it's also Shiras Miriam. So you have Yitzias Mitzrayim, they go through the Yam Suf, and Moshe sings Shira, and then Miriam runs in, takes the tov, and it says, the pasuk says, I don't have the pasuk here, the pasuk says, Miriam HaNeviah. It's really the first time that she is called a Neviah, so you could say, okay, big deal, she had a tov. If you're a Neviah, you never have a problem with what to pack. But she took the tov, and the next part of the pasuk is, and all the women came with their tubim, and they also danced. So Rashi says, okay, they took these from Mitzrayim. And my mother had told me a story that really, I had this little epiphany 4 or 5 weeks ago, Bishal was like 3 weeks ago. She told the story that when they were liberated by the Russians, Seuda was liberated by the Americans, which was much better. They were liberated by the Russians, who were terrible, especially to a group of girls that they're liberating. And they told them that they can go into the commandant's quarters and they can take anything. And so a lot of the women did. They went in and they took silver and they took all kinds of things. Bobby took one silver spoon that I happen to have, and I use it every Seder night when we do the Hishanga, right? Because that's what Bobby used to do, and she would put it in the karpas. And not the Hishanga. By karpas, but also. No, by karpas. Okay, by karpas. But she said one girl, a young girl, they were all like 18, 19 years old. One young girl went into the commandant's quarters and took out men's clothing. And they all said to her, like, what do you need that for? And she said, when we get home, my father will come home and he won't have anything. So I need this clothing for him. And they all thought, such a innocent girl that she thinks that her father's coming back. There won't be any fathers. When they came back to their city, a bishop, she is the only girl whose father returned. There was no one over the age of 30 except her father. Her father came back. And Bobby used to take this as Miriam's tov. Because in my school, they're always talking about radical flexibility, which just means that it's so hard for the teachers that we're not allowed to complain. Right? Radically flexible. That's how every email starts. Okay, so time to be radically flexible again, and you will have kids on Zoom and kids in class and kids in thing, and do it all with the mask on and a microphone. Okay. But I think what the Tov shows is radical, I don't want to say positivity, because positivity has a very negative connotation now, but radical optimism. And that Bobby had. Bobby would have, if you think of her life from Europe to Portland, Oregon for 25 years, having to send children away at such a young age, and Harry lives with that until today. And having Dorothy go to public school, and Amy and I go to also sent away to yeshivas, and finally moving to New York, and Zaidi never worked, he retired at 58 after that. And then she had a wonderful time, and she had family, and she loved it. And then her last years were in the throes of cancer. And yet Bobby, if you think about her, was the most positive person. And she would, even when we went to Sloan Kettering for checkups, she would go, okay, but then we're gonna shop for furniture. Like everything was turned into something positive. And if you want to talk about someone who always carried that tov, it was definitely Bobby. And she definitely had, I know other, unfortunately there are very few survivors now, but I know other people who always ask me about my friends say, did you have a traumatic childhood? Did you have very negative parents? Were they damaged? They weren't. They were so grateful for what they had. They had tremendous nachas from all of you. Baruch Hashem, they saw Doros. And this is my message to you this week is also Rosh Chodesh Adar, which happens to be my birthday, my 60th birthday, which is mind-boggling, Baruch Hashem. So that's another gift my mother gave me. My mother gave me the present that I always get to say Hallel on my birthday. And it's always Rosh Chodesh Adar, which is like a really cool birthday.
I always get to fast on my birthday.
Daddy's so good about it.
And I'm a tree.
And sleepless.
Happy birthday.
Are you too much?
Yeah.
That's so nice.
That's a cute one.
It's a good one.
Yeah, so when I was sitting Shiva on my 40th birthday, it was kind of weird. But now I feel that there's the Yahrzeit and I'm in Eretz Yisrael and it's my birthday and it's time for Sheva Seuda L'Hashem. And so there's an Indian of giving brachos on birthdays. I'm finishing now. And so I really give you all a bracha. First of all, I was supposed to leave and I did a terrible job. Such a special Ari and such a special Rachel, such a special Givat to have grandchildren. And it's a tremendous it's a special schutz for us to have you living here. And Racheli's email address in high school, in seminary, college, post-seminary, was iloveisrael@avdonline.net, so you know the end of the story, at avdonline.net, so you know the end of the story, and so I give you all of bracha that you should have shalom in your homes, and shalom with your family, and gesund, and menuchas nefesh, and everything good, and you should continue to bring us all tremendous nachas, which you do. Amen.